Guys, today I have a very interesting topic that we will be discussing, and this is OCD, the obsessive-compulsive disorder. And it's a mental health disorder that affects people of all ages and walks of life, and occurs when a person gets caught in a cycle of obsessions and compulsions. Obsessions are unwanted, intrusive thoughts, images, and urges that trigger intensely distressing feelings. Compulsions are behaviors an individual engages in to attempt to get rid of the obsessions and to decrease the distress. Okay, so on the line I have two guests. One of them is Blonk. Hey Blonk.
Hello.
Blonk suffers from OCD and he will tell us all about it today. And the special guest is Glenn. Hey Glenn.
Heyo.
Hey. So guys, first of all, Blonk, how are you? Are you feeling alright today?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Myself, I had a good sleep and I'm ready to do this. And I'm hyped as usual when I'm doing podcasts. I love doing that. And Glenn loves that as well, right?
Yeah, I'm absolutely in love with this.
It's fun, and lots of people told me afterwards that they felt better, that they felt at ease, that they are happy. So Blanc, maybe you can start how OCD looks like in your case, please.
Okay. Well, usually there are different types of obsessions that we have, and the ones that affect me the most are sound of mind and safety. And basically, I care a lot about my belongings in my room, and then other things that regular people will stress about, such as like school and work. So quite often, usually what would happen is I'd be worried about my door not closing or not locking. So I'd be around my door for maybe hours at a time, locking it and unlocking it. And then with sound of mind, usually it's me repeating phrases to myself or sentences that try to assure me about stressful situations that have happened
Yeah.
or will happen.
Whoa.
So that's usually what happens.
I've read somewhere that there are like OCD people who are like hoarders, or like they have intrusive thoughts, they have obsessive behaviors like cleaning their hands. Do you get that?
Yeah. A lot of those things can happen, and it's usually routed around some type of anxiety that's relating to those issues.
Yeah, so like it's also about perfectionism.
Yeah. With me, I'm very, I'd say, concerned with like my future. A lot of the time, I worry about that, and so what I'll be doing most of the time is just trying to have some sort of tick or compulsion that tries to ease that. It seems with me, it's a lot like Tourette's, where you'll hear me say things to myself out loud, and that's just try and silence my mind from causing anxiety throughout the day.
Yeah, I get that. Tourette's. I get that sometimes too. I think like maybe in a different way, different reason, but I like repeat myself sometimes too, like the words to feel better. I don't know why I do that. Maybe I have a bit of that too. Glenn, do you have any questions for Blanc?
Yes, I do actually. I was wondering, like, you're very interested in the objects, like in your room and such. Do you
Yeah.
like or do you bring order to them in some way, or like
Yeah, I'm not
do they all
usually.
have their spots?
Yeah, I'm usually not caring too much about cleanliness like some other people with OCD have.
Oh
It's
yeah.
mainly organization and making sure that everything has its own place. So like my room is kind of sectioned up into different quarters, and each of these places will always have a certain thing in them. Like one part of my room, all my like electronics, CDs, DVDs, whatever it is, they all have to stay in one corner. And whenever they're moved to a different location or a different part of my room, it really stresses me out because I don't know if I'll lose it or not. So a lot of the time, if something does get misplaced, I'll go back to it, and then let's say if it's a CD case, I'll open it and close it multiple times to make sure that the CD is there and that everything is in good
Yeah,
condition.
and basically reassuring yourself every time that you open it that it's there, you know.
Yeah. With that, it also belongings. I'm usually concerned about its condition or its state. I don't
Yeah.
like when things get damaged. Like I spend a lot of money on clothing. That's something that I like, but it becomes a hassle because a lot of the time I'm checking over all the buttons, all the sewing, any stains or discoloration. I really hate that, and I'll spend hours a day checking on it.
Mm-hmm. So your room is clean, like neat?
Yeah, it's more neat than clean. Like I'll have like maybe some cans or something sitting around. When it comes to the belongings that I have, they're all really organized.
Okay. I have a question. Why do you think you suffer from OCD? What was the reason? Yeah.
It's probably coming from just my anxiety that I had when I was younger. I did have to go to therapy for a bit to try and alleviate issues with separation and just with talking with other people. And I feel like that anxiety probably manifested into my personal life with OCD.
Okay, so it's like anxiety disorder.
Yeah, a lot of it comes from anxieties.
Yes, so there are like mood disorders like bipolar, depression. There are anxiety disorders like OCD, for an example, and it also looks like that when it comes to personality disorders like cluster C is anxiety ridden, like there you have obsessive compulsive personality disorder too. They differ, but they are like linked to each other. If you have someone in family with OCD, you might have avoidant personality disorder or obsessive compulsive personality disorder. You have bigger chances for that. There are also psychotic disorders like schizophrenia or schizoaffective mixed with mood disorder. I'm just explaining it to people so they know how it looks like in psychiatry, I guess. It might change, all of this might change. There might be a different model of mental illnesses and personality disorders in the future, but for now it's anxiety ridden and it's like neurotic disorder also. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's very neurotic.
They're
A
different.
lot of the time they find that it's really hard to kind of whittle down to the causes of like this disorder. So it's really hard to tell what it's related to and what it's caused. All I can tell though is it's probably built off of my stress.
Yeah, it's all stress, and when stress is combined with like psychedelic drugs, you can get a psychotic disorder. Thanks God you didn't get that. You are more like on anxiety, just the stress. You didn't do much drugs. Tell us, please.
Yeah, never. I have a very clean lifestyle, pretty sheltered. So really, my only concerns ever have been, stress related or social anxiety.
Okay, that's good because some people shouldn't use drugs when you have like predispositions for mental illness.
Yeah, I try and stay away from things like marijuana and other types of, prescription drugs because they are legal.
Oh, can you tell us? Can you tell us where you are from, Blonk?
I'm from Canada.
Yeah, okay, so we have a Canadian here, and I would like to hear about mental health care system in Canada.
Canada, there's not a really good safety net for a lot of mental conditions. If it is something that is quite drastic, a lot of the time they'll be admitted to a psych ward, which isn't taken care of mainly, and there's really no insurance to help those people. Either you'll see people with bad conditions living with their family and being supported by their family, or you'll find them on the street. And that's where a lot of our homeless population comes from. They're usually people with some sort of psychosis that isn't taken care of, because we don't have any health wing to really monitor.
Yeah, in Dutch we basically say like a sociaal vangnet, so it's basically like a social net, like that you fall into when you need help,
Yeah, so
And
you
I
guys
think Canada and the US has like not very advanced social nets, if you know what I mean.
we're definitely not completely aware of mental disorders, how prevalent they are, and we have a stigma around them that we're trying to kind of face at the moment.
Yeah, Glenn is from Western Europe. Glenn is from Belgium, and they have it better there. In Poland, it sucks. It's like lagging behind, like countries like Belgium. But we also have lots of homeless people who are mentally ill. But our hospitals are free. Like you don't have to pay.
Yeah.
If you have insurance, which is very easy to get, you just have to sign up for unemployment, and then you have insurance. So it's very easy. It's free. You can stay in hospital and you don't have to pay for that. So at least thanks for that. Thanks God for that. Um, but it doesn't look like that in Canada. You have to pay if you don't have insurance, and yeah.
It's actually when you say it's Poland's system, it's quite identical here. We do
Oh,
have free healthcare, so yeah, if somebody needs it, it's taken care of by the hospital. But the conditions there are very bad, and
oh,
a lot of people decide to just be homeless instead of go there.
Jesus
Um,
Christ! I would rather stay in
yeah,
hospital here than be homeless. But
Yeah, I would definitely prefer a hospital here. I mean,
yeah,
Canada is less invasive of homeless people. We usually let them kind of do their own thing.
okay.
Um, they're not usually swept off streets as often as maybe some other countries.
Mm-hmm. Why?
So a lot of people just choose to not be tied down from the hospital,
Okay,
which
I
isn't,
understand.
I think, the best thing. But
no, I think that's terrible, actually.
Well,
yeah,
I hope things will change, and we are doing this podcast to educate, to spread mental illness awareness. So I really hope that one day it will give some results, and people will know more about it and take better care of their mentally ill, like family members, and so they won't end up homeless, misunderstood, and I really do hope so, right, Glenn?
Yeah, I think that's very important, you know. Like, I had this friend who lost her boyfriend to suicide, and he was bipolar and had ADHD at the same time.
Oh, fuck.
But like he wasn't getting really the help that he should have been getting, I think. Even here in Belgium, you know. So like even here in Belgium, it's not perfect at all. There's still people who kind of like, you know, escape the social net, and they just, well, not really escape, more like fall next to it or something,
Mhm.
and they just, you know, they end up on the streets, or nearly on the streets, and they just, you know, they get into a downward spiral, really.
Yeah, probably start using drugs and get even
Yes,
worse.
yes, self-medication is very prevalent amongst those
Yeah,
people, of course.
yeah. Okay, Blonk, can you tell us more about your OCD? Like some experiences?
um, like uh, what kind of experiences?
Like
There's
I
a
don't
lot
know.
about it.
Tell us an interesting story about your experience with
Uh,
OCD.
well, I guess one thing that was kind of a benefit to it
Mm-hmm.
was usually whenever I applied to some sort of work, it was usually some sort of clothing retail.
Uh-huh.
And because of that, I'm really organized, and even if it isn't my own belongings, it sometimes irks me whenever things are completely straightened or if things are kind of dirtied. Whenever it kind of threatens the visual appeal of a store, I get kind of angry. So
Oh,
a lot of my time was spent really, really cleaning up places, and that allowed me to get better wages and promotions
nice.
because I really cared about how detailed things were, and it would definitely boost our ratings. I remember.
Yeah, it's basically a way to turn it into a positive thing, you know.
Yeah, I try to, and sometimes whenever it does kind of get too annoying for me, I try and kind of avoid my compulsions. And it's gotten better over the last few years, but a lot of the time, if things get more or less stressful,
Mm-hmm.
it'll definitely affect the way that my OCD operates.
Nice. So yeah, you got some advantage because of that. When I'm psychotic, I like to be more, I don't know, like write like a book I'm writing, and paint the paintings I sometimes do. Like I'm more creative. Then it's just one of the very few like good things that's coming out of this. I think it's the only good thing, like being more creative. And Glenn, do you get something like you are better at mathematics with your Asperger's?
Yes, exactly. I didn't really learn mathematics in school. I taught myself mathematics later on, because I had a bad childhood in school and stuff like that.
Yeah, everybody had like from the people I've talked with. Blonk, I bet you didn't have very good childhood too. Like,
Yeah, it was definitely quite hard. I remember that actually the reason why I had gotten diagnosed with OCD was that I had such a bad childhood, and socially I wasn't making many friends. And then one day, one of my teachers in elementary had come to approach me and ask me, like, "Do you have autism or Asperger's or something? Like, what is wrong with you?" And it bothered me so much that I decided to go and get myself tested by a psychiatrist.
uh-huh,
And so we did an Asperger's kind of evaluation and test, and it came out that I didn't have it, but they wanted to elaborate on some things that I had said and did during the interviews.
yeah,
And eventually they narrowed it down that I had OCD and just a really high intelligence that kind of matured me past kind of the grade that I was in, and that's why I was having problems socializing with these people.
yeah, like you are smart, but you have very low social skills.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it came from OCD as well. It caused an avoidance because I was trying to focus very specific things that were bothering me, and I tried to like obsessively fix those things instead of focusing on maybe other people around me.
Yeah, like children basically give all their attention to social interactions and all that. But the thing is, with mental illness, those children can't, put all the energy in. They just they're busy with their problems, I guess.
I
That's how
rem-
I experienced it anyway.
I remember my female friends at school coming to my house and asking if I can go play with them, and I was sitting alone playing with my dolls, and I said no, I'm busy. And it was like all the time. They finally stopped coming, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Jesus, my childhood was fucked up as well, but I guess most of us have had it bad, and that's why I guess you Blonk didn't have it better.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we ended up on Fortune from all places. It's like a magnet for people like us, like
Yeah,
schizos.
I think it's like a harbor, it's like a place where you can go no matter who you are, really, and you'll be sort of welcomed as long as you just behave like everybody else, you know?
Yeah,
It's
people are on those communities to talk anyway too. The reason why I started coming was because I just recently came to university, and
yeah,
because of my anxiety in itself, it was hard to socialize with other people. But whenever people yearn for each other on like 4chan and places like that with a big community, it's so much easier to be able to reach out to people that are like-minded.
exactly. That's why I'm looking on INT R9K, sometimes on SOC. I found Glenn on SOC. I found you on R9K. Was it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, let's not talk about Fortune too much because it's not a topic. Let's talk about your OCD. I think we will be finishing soon because you told us a lot. But if you have anything to add, like something you want to talk about, something you want to address, tell us, please.
Uh, well, with OCD, definitely, unlike some other illnesses, you can make it more tolerable, definitely, without medication. Um, Usually, if you go through stress testing and you just try and be more, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
organized with your life and seem less stressed, it'll definitely reflect how aggressive your OCD is. I found that if I just try and leave my compulsions and forget about it after a little while, it definitely lessens. I'll not be needing to organize things as much, or I won't be needing to check the condition of some of my items or keep peace of mind if I just stay on top of things, or if things get too overwhelming, just leave it for a bit. It's definitely a weird disorder for sure.
I think it's sort of like it's a habit, and if you feed the habit, it gets stronger, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly how it is.
Wow. So your compulsions are mostly like organization in your room, like your belongings. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm very glad that you decided to do this podcast with us, that you had the courage, because lots of people don't want to do that, and they just want to talk like texting. I'm so
Yeah, of
happy.
course.
I'm so happy because I was looking for someone with OCD for a longer time. I'm very glad you did it. Thank you so much, Blonk.
Yeah, thank you for bringing me.
Yeah, okay, Glenn, do you have any more questions? Or you want to say something?
Well, I'd just like to remark on one thing. You said that you have everything very organized, and when somebody else, for example, takes something or puts something somewhere else, that you'll panic because you won't know where it is, you know. Well, I'm very disorganized, to be honest. But at the same time, I know where everything is because I put it there.
Oh,
And
Yeah, yeah.
if somebody else comes and cleans up my shit, basically I lose everything because I don't know where anything is. So basically, there's order in my chaos or something, you know.
It
And
seems like a lot of mine is opposite of that.
yeah, I think it's like the exact opposite, actually.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, people are different, but Glenn, what you have, I also have. I'm chaotic as hell, but I know where my shit is. And
Yeah.
I don't like people messing around. Uh, with it. Okay, guys, that's it. Thank you so much, Blonk. Thank you so much, Glenn, again.
You're
And
very
yeah, okay, Blonk. That's all, right? You don't have anything
Yeah.
more to say? Okay.
It's
So
all
we are
done.
finishing. Thank you so much again. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Hey guys! If you enjoyed my content, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications for more videos in the future. Thanks, bye! Cześć ludzie! Jeśli podobało Wam się wideo, to zalajkujcie, zasubujcie mój kanał i włączcie sobie notyfikacje. To wszystko, dzięki, pa!